Hi guys, Aaron Wilson here at NRG Stadium. Monday afternoon, this is a day of planning for the Texans, along with weightlifting, training for the guys, treatment for the injured players, and for the coaches continuing to game plan and using that extra time that they have because they have the benefit of the Thursday game and preparing in earnest for a gigantic AFC South game against the Indianapolis Colts, the division leaders and one of the best teams in the NFL. The Colts, of course, are coming off of a loss to the Chiefs in overtime, and the Texans are coming off of their signature victory, in my opinion, and many, over the Buffalo Bills. So we saw a gigantic defensive flex, and we'll get into that about the gold standard of this defense and why statistically they're the best and why I believe other reasons they are just a cut above the rest of the league. And so we'll get into all that, but I want to start off with some very important developments that need to be explained when it regards to the NFL concussion protocol and Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud and nickel Jalen Petrie. As we reported last week, they were remaining in the concussion protocol, were not cleared in time for a Thursday game against Buffalo. And what that meant, of course, was Davis Mills starting again, winning his third start with no losses, and just doing an exemplary job as the backup. And for the defense, without Jalen Petrie for the third consecutive game, like Stroud, he was replaced at nickel by Miles Bryant, but they wound up using a lot of 4-3 alignments with 3 linebacker sets. And, of course, at safety, they replaced M.J. Stewart primarily with Jalen Reed, even though he didn't start. He played most of the game. So today, Texans coach DeMeco Ryans announced that C.J. Stroud and Jalen Petrie are both in the NFL concussion protocol. And they will, of course, practice on Wednesday is the expectation. And I'm reporting that they will both be cleared, barring some kind of problem with, obviously there's injury possibilities in practice, but it's very unlikely, and play and start on Sunday against the Colts. So they'll get back their quarterback. And that's been the expectation all along. So where's the disconnect? Why aren't they cleared today despite all the time? Why would a concussion take this long? Well, guys, it was a short week, and that's why they didn't have enough time. They ran out of days to clear either player in time. So usually what it takes is, it takes 2 days. You have to be cleared by an independent neurologist. You have to pass a baseline neurological exam that every player takes. And so between all of those elements, and today not being a practice day, they can't clear the protocol technically today, even though both players have no concussion symptoms. So this is the protocol they do to ensure the players' safety and long-term brain health, and that's the goal, is to take care of these guys, in terms of avoiding, some of the bad outcomes, right? Post-football CTE, which can cause and has caused many guys to have dementia and other mental health problems, like schizophrenia and suicidal thoughts, and in many cases suicidal guys have carried that out, like Junior Seau, Dave Duerson, among those that have taken their own life. So concussions are ultra serious. So what I'm saying is, my reporting, I expect both to practice on Wednesday, and they may clear them on Wednesday or Thursday at the latest. So we'll see how they carry that out. But either Wednesday or Thursday, I expect them to clear, and for that to be announced that they have cleared the protocol and that they're good to go for Sunday. And just in case anyone was wondering, C.J. Stroud, as we've said many times, he is the starting quarterback, and DeMeco Ryans reiterated that today. He says he's been our starter, and he will be our starter whenever he's back and ready to go. All right. That's about it for roster stuff, other than Amir Speed, 6'3", 215-pound, former Patriots and Colts corner, joins the Texans. They had a tryout today, so they included, some other guys were there in this workout, and so he was the one that won the Gong Show. He was the success story out of the bunch. So they had another defensive back, Lamarian James, former TCU player. They had a former running back from University of Florida, Montreal Johnson, and tight ends Tanner McLaughlin, Arizona, and G. Scott, Ohio State, where he played with C.J. Stroud. But the winner of the workout is former Michigan State and Georgia corner Amir Speed. He's got about 9 career tackles. He's more of a special teams player. So they bring him in, and he wins the tryout battle. So that is what's what with personnel for today. We're not expecting a lot of other big roster moves. As you guys know, as I reported, Dameon Pierce joined the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad officially today, and he had lots of other offers, including the Broncos and the Chargers and the Eagles and the Bengals, and he got some interest from the Miami Dolphins. So he had a lot of interest, and what wound up happening, he chose the Chiefs, thought that was the best fit for him from a play style standpoint. And it's interesting because Eagles general manager Howie Roseman personally called DP, Dameon Pierce, and tried to recruit him over the weekend, and he indicated that he had a trade inquiry in with Nick Caserio. Don't know what the offer was or if they got to a formal offer. Obviously, usually when they call about a trade, you got to have an offer if you want to talk about a player. But evidently it wasn't enough, or just the Texans didn't want to part with Dameon at that time. I've seen some people criticizing Nick for that. I'm not sure if you could really rip him for that. We're talking about maybe it was a pick swap or a 7th rounder. In all likelihood, I don't know. I'm not privy to that detail, but I would just say, yeah, it's interesting that Howie Roseman took an interest in Dameon Pierce, and now he's a Chief, and they do play the Texans in 2 weeks, and we'll see if he's even active for that game. Maybe he will be. Maybe they'll elevate him. They are in pretty dire straits at running back without Isaiah Pacheco. They had to lean on Kareem Hunt very heavily, but perhaps they create a 1-2 punch with, Kareem Hunt and Dameon Pierce. We'll see. But like I said, I primarily want to talk about defense today, but I feel like we had some little house cleaning to do in terms of keeping you guys up to date. I like to be as newsy as possible and current. That's why you guys like the channel. So guys, you can also watch, like, and subscribe to the channel. It helps when you watch it in its entirety and finish the videos. That is very helpful, very beneficial to the algorithm for me and for the popularity of the channel. Not just to watch like a little bit, but if you have the time, I really appreciate everyone that can watch. Of course, you have options. You can hype the video, hype it. There's a little button there, you can hype it, and that all helps too. It's a numbers game. So let's talk Texans defense and how they've built a gold standard of excellence this year. It's truly an elite group, and we saw, I think, their signature performance, their best performance of the season against a Buffalo Bills offense headlined by reigning NFL Most Valuable Player, quarterback Josh Allen. 8 sacks, and they were just all over him relentlessly, and 3 turnovers. Kalen Bullock, a couple of interceptions, forces a fumble. A big-time game by Kalen, his best game of his NFL career. But the real flex is Will Anderson Jr., 2.5 sacks, and Danielle Hunter, 2 sacks. And they are not arguably, they are the top bookend pass rushing tandem, combining for 20 sacks this season. So, you think about the Texans and being strong at all 3 levels of defense. Talking with D'Amico Ryans today I asked him about what goes into building a defense like this. And he says it's about everybody playing together, and he believes in that. Obviously, teamwork, no hero ball out there. He hates that. Doesn't like when guys play their own style. He wants guys to play the defense the way he coaches it. Everybody plays together. Everybody runs to the ball. Fast, physical, flying around, in his words, to the football. That's what he says they have, starting with the guys up front, led by Hunter and Anderson. And then what the guys do on the back end with a great corner tandem in Derek Stingley Jr., the All-Pro, and Kamari Lassiter is also a standout in his own right. And then you have Kalen Bullock making plays, and you've got a Mike linebacker that's a great communicator, and Azeez Al-Shire, and he'll hit you. Just ask Trevor Lawrence and many others. He's a tough guy, hard hitter, would be a great football player in any era of football, in my opinion. But he's just very feisty, plays to the echo of the whistle, and love the toughness that I see from Azeez Al-Shire. That's really a plus to have a guy that's the architect like D'Amico Ryans and the signal caller and Azeez Al-Shire, and the sync they have, the background going all the way back to when D'Amico was a linebackers coach for the 49ers, and they signed Azeez Al-Shire as an undrafted free agent for Florida Atlantic. The rest is history, and they're still working together to this day. And yeah, Aziz may not have been named to a Pro Bowl, but he's a quality starter, and he's very respected and very tough. So you look at the challenge of the Colts, and this is an explosive offense. They didn't have a very good day when they ran into a good run defense, a stout defense in the Chiefs, but look at the overall season. Look at Daniel Jones, the most productive football of his career. Danny Dimes. Look at what Shane Steichen does as a play caller. And Steichen, one of the most intellectually sound coaches in football, and someone that a lot of executives around the league have praised to me for his work. So you have good explosive receivers outside. You have Pierce. You have Pittman. You've got a great rookie tight end in Tyler Warren. And, of course, the great Jonathan Taylor. Balance, contact balance, power, home run threat, ability to stretch the defense, break tackles, big, strong, track speed from his high school days in New Jersey to Wisconsin. And the defense has to contain at all levels. And I think it's a very difficult defensive assignment when you play the Colts because they're very sound. And they're good on all sides of the football. You see what Latu is doing right now in terms of disrupting passes, batting them to himself, intercepting throws. The corner tandem they have, we didn't get into that today, but I know we will probably when we talk to the quarterback, CJ Stroud, once he's cleared and able to talk with us. So that's prevented the interviews. So people wonder, why we haven't heard from CJ. That's because of that. I've talked to him informally, and he's doing great and enjoyed covering his event on Saturday. That was run by his mom, Kimberly Stroud, the president of the C.J. Stroud Foundation. Of course, D'Amico Ryans and his foundation, with his wife Jamila. They were there. Trill Burgers, Advantage BMW, Southwestern National Bank, and the comptroller of Houston, Chris Hollins. So a lot of people there. And Bun B, of course, from Trill Burgers. My boy Nick Scurfield, everybody was there. So yeah, great event. And I also made it over to Tim Settle Jr.'s event. And on Tuesday, the Texans and Kroger are teaming up for a big Thanksgiving giveaway for holiday meals. And there will also be a Titus Howard event later in the day where he's going to give away 500 turkeys. So until supplies run out, Titus Howard will be giving out turkeys. Check out his Instagram for details and to see how you can maybe be one of those people that gets a turkey. So yeah, Titus Howard, the big man, getting involved in the community. With the defense, one thing I talked to Kamar Laster about, he thinks they can be even better, that they can be more disciplined. That was a comment from D'Amico Ryans, but that there's an even higher level that this defense can reach. And I agree with that. I think there are sometimes some missed tackles, sometimes some leaky play against the run, some problems sometimes with scrambling quarterbacks. But more often than not, the defense has been on point. And, they are no longer, they are statistically the top-ranked overall defense. They are just barely not the top-ranked scoring defense. They allow 16.5 points per game, and the Los Angeles Rams are now at 16.3. So they're neck and neck for the scoring title, which are both great defenses. You saw the Rams in the first game of the year with Jared Verse and Byron Young, and of course, Landman, not like the show, but same name. Nate Landman had the great punch out on Darago Moale, great football player, just got a new contract, and he deserves it. So, look overall, like to talk a little bit sometimes about the stats. So the Texans are third against the pass. They are second in just allowing, 10 touchdown passes. And they are third in interceptions with 12 overall. So they've got 2 more interceptions than touchdown passes allowed. Against the run, they're 5th overall in run defense in terms of yardage. And, that's pretty darn good, too. They've only allowed 9 rushing touchdowns. So it's been a very good run defense, not just the pass defense. So it's been both elements, and they've been pretty good about penalties. They've been pretty good at all levels. And you look at just kind of like the defense and where it stands. I mean, this is, I underrated the sacks. I got to do a better job. on my math. Apologize, guys. I want to short these guys. Danielle Hunter has 11 sacks. Will Anderson Jr. has 10.5 sacks. So half sack more than I said for Will. So they've combined for 21.5 sacks. And you've got 14 tackles for losses by Will Anderson Jr. You've got 11 tackles for losses for Danielle Hunter. You've got 17 quarterback hits for Anderson. And you've got 18 quarterback hits for Hunter. And 2.5 sacks against the Bills for Anderson. And 2 sacks for Danielle Hunter. So what a outstanding tandem. And then you've got 71 tackles for Azeez Al-Shire. And you've got, a lot of other guys making a lot of plays. You look at the interception list. So you've got, just a ton of guys picking off passes. The leader, Kalen Bullock, with 4. You got 2 for Kamari last year. You got 3 for Derek Stingley Jr. You got 3 for Jalen Petrie. He started off as the leader, but obviously has missed the last 3 games. So he's missing some opportunities there to get interceptions. But overall, what a great defense. And they've been showing that. They've been showing a lot of command. And, it's kind of funny. I thought this was a very interesting question. And, we knew for a long time, and I was reporting this throughout, that Will Anderson Jr. was the number 1 player on the Texans draft board on most NFL teams, that this was the consensus top player. He wasn't the first player drafted that year. It was Bryce Young and then C.J. Stroud second overall. But just in terms of prospect, obviously sometimes it's weighted because if you need a quarterback, you need a quarterback. But when you look at, what happened there, I think that, it was just a, outstanding example of drafting. And I give Nick Caserio and DeMeco Ryans credit for this, for having the vision to make sure that they were wheeling and dealing. Yes, it cost them a lot. It cost them, the first-round draft pick and trading, the next year's. But you look at Anderson and what he's done, his impact, how good he is, and he's been worth it. So DeMeco was asked about the draft process. And so they get Stroud out of Ohio State, and then they need a foundational piece, he said, on defense. And so you look at Will Anderson Jr., everybody he talked to at Alabama, which of course is his alma mater, and everything they were saying about the type of leader he was. They didn't even talk about the players. You could see how relentless he was on tape, his finish, how he held other guys accountable. There's stories about him throwing a guy out of a meeting because he wasn't on time or wasn't concentrating, things like that. So accountable. So when Will was a rookie player, younger player at Alabama, his older brother called DeMeco Ryans, and this is DeMeco's brother, and says, hey, whenever you get a chance, this guy from Alabama, you need to get him on your team. And DeMeco at the time was like, all right, I'll check him out. But who knew full circle when he had a chance to actually be in a position to draft him? And he said, yeah, my brother was right. He was spot on. I need to get number 31. He's very happy that he's there with them. Thanksgiving notes, programming notes, guys. No practice open to the media on Thanksgiving. No media availability on Thanksgiving for the holiday. Doesn't mean we won't have coverage at Click to Houston and KPRC2 or here on the channel. Just might be something I work on ahead of time. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to plan out the week as we get there. But the Texans, yes, the Texans will be working on Thanksgiving. DeMeco Ryans emphasized that while letting everybody know that he likes mac and cheese, sweet potato pie, doesn't like cranberry sauce out of the can. Who does? And he said he told the guys, hey, save that food for another day. This week we're focused on the Colts. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you enjoy that time with your families. We will be working. That's true. They will be working. But they will not work a full day. It will be a shorter day. And, for players that choose to have Thanksgiving, yeah, you're allowed to have Thanksgiving dinner. I think his greater point is, and some of the players are telling me this, don't stuff yourself. Don't just fill up so much that you're bloated and not ready to, operate on all cylinders the way you should as a football player, as an athlete. Instead, maybe work on having those leftovers. We just like leftovers, right? The good leftovers from Thanksgiving. And, that's a lot of people, a lot of choices people can make with food. You can either just eat so much until you need a nap. A big week and a big game. What's this mean to you guys to now have positioned yourself to be in these meaningful football games?
It's a good feeling, but the hay's not in the barn. We got a lot of work to do.
We talked last week about what it took the unselfishness to be the defense that you are. What are some of the things that you saw kind of exemplify that on Thursday night?
I would say play in, play out. Just guys doing their job, not caring if they're going to make the play, not knowing if they're like the glory's going to be to them, not knowing if the stack's going to them. Just guys just going out there, relentless playing, just doing whatever I guess has to do with them, on that play and doing to the best of their ability. You see that on film.
I think I know the answer to this question, but do you feel like the defense has still higher, level that you guys can reach? Can you guys play even better?
Oh yeah, we really haven't done anything yet. I mean, we haven't done enough yet. Until the season is over, we won't feel like that. And even after the season's over, we're still going to be working. So I feel like we have a lot more to do. We have a lot of things that we left out on the field and a lot of things that we left on the tape that we got to correct.
All right, and guys, some programming notes. We'll be having a live. I'll be scheduling that for Tuesday. Of course, have some coverage of the community events and more coverage at www.click2houston.com. I am multimedia, so it's not just YouTube, it's social media, Aaron Wilson _NFL, Instagram, Aaron Wilson 7128. Of course, on television at KPRC2, I'm on today, and at www.click2houston.com, which is free, no subscription required. Please check out our great website, which of course has news, weather, sports, all kind of things there to check out. And guys, I'll wrap up and we'll have, like I said, it's a big week. We look forward to diving into all of the matchups and all of the player profiles, all those things we'll get into. Today, just setting the table for you, talking defense, talking C.J. Stroud. Expect Jalen Petrie and C.J. Stroud, like I said before at the top of the video, to be cleared. I think they're trending, tracking, whatever you want to call it, toward the big Sunday game, which could have a playoff atmosphere against the Colts. But for the Texans to be a playoff team, and as we said, they're right in the thick of it with the playoff hunt. They have to win games like this. They need to beat the Chiefs. They need to beat they need to hold serve against these other teams that they're supposed to beat, like the Raiders and the Cardinals. Can't have a letdown. But I think the path to it is 10 wins. So they need to go 4-2 the rest of the way. If they can do that, I think they have a very good chance at being a possible disruptive force in the playoffs. A team that's defined by defense, but needs to get better on offense. And D'Amico Ryan's made a great point. What they did in the second half on offense, he didn't think that was very good. I agree with him, it wasn't. And it needs to get better. And if it's not against some teams like the Colts, maybe they don't win that game. Colts are very good at playing situational football, clutch football. They have a very smart quarterback in Daniel Jones, and he has had a resurgent career renaissance, if you will, for the Colts. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap up. Good talking to you. We'll talk soon. And like I said, I'll announce the timing for the chat and answer all of your questions. Thanks. Bye.